Morning, New Hope. We are just coming to you this morning. Sad we can't be together in person, but we do have a short message for you this morning as we're heading into the new year.
Woo! I'm excited about it. Thanks for joining me, Sam.
We're super excited, and we were kind of chatting and kind of talking about the new year and how it's always interesting how people come up with our different resolutions. We come up with ideas for exercise and personal development, new hobbies, and just interesting things in our lives that we want to work on. And something interesting we kind of want to talk about this morning is how can we, heading into this new year, set ourselves apart and rather than work on like these small little aspects of our lives, really resolve ourselves in our faith and in our calling to serve God and to pursue Jesus. And that's kind of something we wanted to dive into this morning.
Yeah, at first, I'll be honest, when Sam brought this up to me, kind of thought it was just a great excuse to not have to come up with any New Year's resolutions, right? No, that wasn't exactly what he had in mind. But the idea was, man, we start every January saying we're going to do 18,000 other things, and I'm not always sure that's the best way to go. So as we were talking about this, the verse that came to mind for me was Galatians 5:7, and it simply says, you were running a good race. Who cut in on you to keep you from obeying the truth? And as Sam was talking a little bit about this, it was just the thing that kept popping into my mind of, we already know what we're supposed to do, and to be quite honest, I think there's been a point in time in most of our lives where we could look back and say, gosh, that's the time that I was doing exactly what God wanted me to do. Unfortunately, I think for a lot of us, it's also the time right after we come to know Jesus. And we're excited and it's this new thing. And then all of a sudden, as we continue going on, so much seems to get in the way. And so much seems to kind of distract us from what's going on. And when you look at it, we don't have this idea that Christianity is like this 100-yard dash. I think when Paul's talking about running a race, it's a little bit more of a marathon. And well, I'm not going to speak like an expert on running a marathon. Never want to, never tried. But man, after you get a little ways in, I think there's the temptation to just be distracted by anything that you can, anything that's going to keep me from just having to keep doing the same thing over and over because it's easier. And maybe sometimes that's what our New Year's resolutions are. We know what we're supposed to do, but rather than keep going on running the race that God set out before us, we decide that we'll put in these other extra 8 things. Not focus on what we're meant to, but just focus on what seems easier and, well, maybe more exciting at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those distractions are something that kind of keep coming between us and following Jesus because it's very easy to want to pursue other things because it makes it feel like you're starting anew. And that's something that this world provides plenty of. I mean, we live in a day and age where distractions are abundant and you can find them pretty much at your fingertips at any time. And I think really Jesus is calling us to go beyond that and say, I don't want you to quit and start a new race have to quit and start a new race every year, right? This is a commitment that's lifelong. And that's one of the beautiful things about it is it's a relationship with him that's growing, right? And so let's keep growing that relationship. Let's not get distracted and put that on the back burner. Let's just make that our active focus every year and keep progressing that.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. You also had a verse that you thought really spoke to you in this. You want to share a little bit about that one?
So in Proverbs 16:3, it says, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. And I think that kind of goes back to what I was saying is, as we go into this new year, it's rather than trying to attempt to focus on little minute things that are of this world and just in this life, we want to focus on obedience to God. Like, how can we just say, you know what, I don't want to, these other things, they're going to fall into place if I put my first priority, if I put my heart behind saying, Jesus, I want to live in obedience and I want to live following you and serving you because I love you and I know you love me and want a relationship with me. And that's such an interesting thing because when that kind of focus happens and when that transformation happens, it kind of renews your energy. And I think that's kind of where a lot of these New Year's resolutions come from, is this like desire to have a new energy for something. But when you focus on Jesus, God's going to give you that energy. God is going to pour into your life in ways that you don't expect, by just by you growing your relationship with him. That's what having that relationship does, because you don't have to depend on yourself to find all this motivation all the time, because God intrinsically kind of just gives that to you as part of your developing relationship and in loving obedience to him. And so it's kind of easy to want to start new things, and I think that distracts us from God, and it's tough because when those things are such a draw, and it feels in the moment like such a personal development, it's really just an excuse to find something that can make us feel good in the short term. And really what is going to bring us an eternal joy and an eternal peace in the longer term sense is that relationship with Jesus. So rather than trying to make all these New Year's resolutions and all these things that keep coming into your life and keep eating up your attention, maybe we should start the new year with trying to find some peace of mind of knowing who we are. We are loved, and we are in a relationship with our God where he loves us and he has saved us, and he wants us to grow in that relationship. He wants us to further pursue him every day. And so maybe it's not so much about learning what new things we can do, but learning to keep running the race, keep doing the things that strengthen that bond between us and God, and so that we grow closer and closer to Jesus every day of our life and keep getting closer and closer to him every year after year after year.
Yeah, I like that. You heard Sam say several times, it's about this relationship, and it's what I love about that verse in Proverbs there. It just says, commit yourself to the Lord, not commit yourselves to the regimented quiet time. Commit yourselves to, we're going to make sure that you're fasting one day a week. Commit yourself to join in the new small group. Commit yourself to, all of those things are great, but he simply says, commit yourself to the Lord. I just wanted to close with this, and it's probably a verse that you were thinking about as you went along, because both Sam and I kind of referenced it a little bit in passing, but it's simply here in Hebrews 12. And I think it gives, the way that it's written here, gives a great illustration for this whole idea. And it says, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of God. We don't often read the next verse when we hear those, though. Consider him who endured such opposition for sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. So glad you guys could join us this morning. We'll see you back in person next week at 9:30. Can't wait to join you there. Bring a friend with you.